1,358 square kilometers, located in East Africa. With a population of about 2 million people, it counts among the most densely populated countries worldwide. The people of Rwanda share one same culture, it was said, and speak one same language, one same native language, which we call Rwanda. It's not only 90% that speak Rwanda, all Rwandans speak Rwanda. From one point to another, people talk and engage each other with no interpreters. Rwanda was afflicted by the ills of the colonial rule, and when she gained independence in 1962, she had the misfortune of being handed over to a reckless leadership which distinguished itself in perpetuating those ills, including social exclusion based on ethnicity, lack of transformational ambitions that opened up to rampant poverty. This way of ruling resulted into thousands of Rwandans expelled from the country around the 60s. Gradually, the whole society suffered systemic disintegration that deeply affected even those who stayed behind in the country over 3 decades. That disaggregation culminated in a genocide that was planned by those ruthless leaders, whereby more than 1 million of Rwandans or the Tutsi ethnic group were pitilessly exterminated within only 100 days from April to July 1994. That genocide was stopped by the descendants of those Rwandans who had been expelled out of the country in the 60s, who had strived to initiate a liberation struggle that claimed repatriation with full rights as citizens of Rwanda under the umbrella of the Rwandese Patriotic Front, the current ruling party in Rwanda. After the genocide was stopped, the Rwandese Patriotic Front and other like-minded political forces put in place a government of national unity whose immediate priority was to reconcile the torn apart Rwandan society and to rebuild the nation that had been totally devastated by the government that planned and executed the genocide. The task was not easy at all in view of the extreme levels of devastation. The 2 decades involved in the title of my lecture correspond with the temporal scope from 1994 to nowadays, within which Rwanda has raised from ashes to become a stable and thriving country, proud to fully play a positive role on the international scenes, while investing into innovations to reinforce its commitment to moving her people from poverty to dignified socio-economic standards. Rwanda, in the immediate aftermath of genocide, was tipped by war as a failed nation in view of the absolute devastation. It required strategies tailored to suit that particular situation to be able to run a very long rehabilitation process and then to pursue the long-term socio-economic development phase. Despite the fact that her very existential core, meaning the spirit of her people, had been hit hard, Rwanda, against all odds, deliberately chose and crammed that same spirit of her people to conduct the rebuilding of the nation. The premise to that choice was that 1 million people had died, and necessarily so, but the spirit of the people of Rwanda can never die. Rwanda opted to invest in the people to get back on the development track, cognizant of the many hurdles lying ahead, to little by little and tirelessly get to the contemplated destination. 2 decades down the road, Rwanda has been able to reduce the percentage of people living under the poverty line to 39.1%, and to increase the income per capita to more than double. And here I mean from 131 in 1984 to $718 today. Let me elaborate more on the few transformational options that have created a significant impact on the lives of the people of Rwanda along the process. I will start with the management of the transition between the emergency and reconstruction phases, which was far from being an easy task. The government that had freshly inherited the leadership of the Tona Party Rwanda got quickly convinced that it had to do away with unsustainable handouts from the donor community. That choice initially was perceived as detrimental to the well-being of the people that had been deprived of production means and relevant resources. The choice was, however, pivotal in empowering communities throughout the country to work hard and gradually become self-reliant. This permitted the government to immediately embark on the reconstruction task, which endeavored to involve all the components of the Rwandan society right from the beginning, and to entrench a can-achieve mindset that went on growing stronger and stronger. Along with that effort to instill self-confidence within the people, the government ventured on a delicate exercise of mobilizing the people to reconcile and unite, with the conviction that reconstruction can only happen when the constituents of the one society can move on harmoniously towards one shared end. With extremely limited resources, Rwanda resorted to an unconventional community-based conflict resolution process called Gacaca, which culminated in bringing together genocide victims and perpetrators as reconciled citizens of one nation, Abanyarwanda, meaning Rwandans. Once that achieved, it was necessary for the government to tap that newly recovered unit of the people to start assessing the development challenges and the means necessary to overcome them. That led to the articulation of fundamental policies and strategies and a legal framework to support the implementation. At the same time, the government embarked on setting up a mechanism to ensure national stability and security for everyone. The Vision 2020 was conceived as a blueprint which comprehensively articulated long-term priority goals for the transformation of Rwanda into a middle-income country by year 2020. The strategic framework for medium-term development planning, accruing from the Vision 2020 tenets, the economic development and poverty reduction strategy, whose acronym is EDPS, which is now at its second generation, was elaborated through a participatory process involving public institutions, the citizens at large, the private sector, the civil society, and all international development partners. This resulted, at the end of the course, in effective ownership, consensual division of labor to prevent any redundant interventions and unnecessary overstretching of efforts during the implementation of defined actions. As much as implementation had to be aligned with the normative international procedures for financing development, the government has always ensured that resources are allocated to priority sectors with multiplier effects. falling in the defined and agreed needs for the country. Any deviation from that mainstream would result in rejection by government of the proposed financial assistance. Moreover, the government coupled universal best practices and standards of doing development with homegrown solutions and other unconventional methods that have permitted realizing quick wins with limited available resources. Allow me, Madam President, the faculty, the students, to mention a few of those. Let me start by Umuganda. This is the Rwandan term, so let me repeat it, Umuganda. Umuganda is a concept that is as old as Rwanda has existed. Traditionally, Umuganda was a process whereby members of a community would benevolently and in expression of solidarity afford assistance to one of theirs, facing a daunting yet vital task he could not handle on his own in terms of resources and labor force. This concept has been adapted so that all Rwandans, including the President of the Republic and his cabinet, get mobilized every last Saturday of the month to complete the diverse tasks which would otherwise require substantial financial resources for their implementation. President Kagame observed the following on 30th October 2015 about this concept, and I quote, Umuganda is one of the reasons we are moving forward, working together and believing in our common goal of transforming our lives and the lives of our families. End of quote. Umuganda has, for instance, been instrumental in kicking off our national program to roll out universal basic education, referred to as the 12-year basic education, whereby communities contributed through Umuganda in the construction of hundreds of modern classrooms at a competitive cost. And owing to this, children enrollment rate in secondary schools doubled between 2007 and 2015. Umuganda has also been instrumental in the protection of the environment in urban and rural areas. Rwanda holds valuable the cleanliness characteristic of our cities, and Umuganda is no stranger to that. You may be aware now that the United Nations have declared Kigali, our capital city, as the cleanest city in Africa, and Umuganda is one of the contributors. In rural areas, Umuganda has permitted to establish anti-erosion systems to conserve soils from the steep slopes of 1,000 hills and mountains, and Umuganda has moreover contributed to accelerating deforestation in the same vein of protecting the environment and gaining other related benefits. Another homegrown solution worth mentioning, which has been giving a big push to socio-economic transformation in Rwanda, is the localization of programs geared towards the achievement of the Millennium Development Goals, the MDGs. Rwanda has indeed been able to achieve a sizable part of the MDGs owing to this. One catalyst to that end is a program that PUP, standing for Vision 2020 Umurenge. Umurenge is also a Rwandan word that means, in our administrative setup, means local administration corresponding to a sector, so we call it Umurenge. So we thought that to be able to move fast in realizing the MDGs, we would localize the implementation of any activities planned within that scope, and it has resulted into things as about to hear. So the tenet of this program is that fighting poverty should start at grassroots level within communities, starting with the poorest, with the conviction that the impact of the macroeconomic scope of development becomes by far greater than in the radical top-bottom approach to development. VUP builds on assessing the fundamental needs of the community, mobilizing resources, human and financial, to address those needs, and more importantly, providing jobs to members of the communities, focusing on the most deprived but still active in the implementation of labor-intensive projects designed to that end, and ultimately mobilizing the beneficiaries to adhere to certain schemes with the objective of promoting micro-investment and sustainable self-reliance. And the most vulnerable and important members of the community are granted funds for their daily subsistence. Over time, this program has served to dispense to elsewhere disadvantaged communities some socio-economic infrastructure such as roads, water, schools, health centers, healthcare facilities, and so on and so forth, but also triggered investment in income-generating small and medium businesses that led many rural families to moving out of poverty. This program is one of the major contributors to the success of Rwanda to pull out of poverty about 1.5 million people from 2011 to 2014. It was also mentioned earlier. Let me now turn to the government's investment in information technologies infrastructure, which has caused seamless connectivity between rural and urban areas and accruing mutual benefits in terms of integration of markets and associated production and supply chains, but also in terms of easy access to routine and new services by the citizenry. The countrywide rollout of 7,800 kilometer long of optic fiber cable permitted the emergence of new IT applications which transformed the lives of people, including ordinary men and women living in remote rural areas. These applications comprise mobile banking, instant money transfer, online service, procurement and bills clearance, connectivity to international markets, which we call e-markets, coffee, and online business registration. So it has helped a great deal. Correlative to this was the development of community-based IT-equipped information centers where people, especially youth, are afforded with assistance to access information during business and trained in designing income-related projects and accessing financial and other relevant services. I will then say some words regarding a program called One Cow Per Family. We call it Girinka in Rwanda. Girinka is like have a cow. So it's one cow per family, and in our language we call it Girinka. Historically, cattle possession has always been considered as a simple and metric for wealth in Rwanda. Since time immemorial, every single family would vie for owning a cow. In line with the national endeavor to uplift needy households out of poverty, the President of the Republic initiated that program called One Cow Per Family, just a repetition. And sorry for that. Each fiscal year, budget was earmarked by government to sourcing cows to be allocated to poor households identified within their communities. Subsequently, willing individuals and corporate companies followed the pace in donating cows for the same purpose, adding up to government's effort. Within a few years after it was accepted, this initiative proved to be a versatile weapon to combat poverty. Recipient families were able to have milk for consumption and for sale. Cows produce manure the owners used to improve the fertility of their land, making it more productive, thus contributing to making food security real. The recipient families quickly appropriated the philosophy behind the initiative and joined in donating the cents of their cows to not yet serve capitalist families in their entourage. Gradually, in addition to its economic significance, this initiative has created more cohesion within communities where social bonds increase between the donors and the recipients. Madam President, distinguished audience, if people are to actively play a role in their own development, it is crucial that they are constantly in good health conditions. Lack of reliable access to healthcare has, however, remained a daunting challenge in the developing world, and Rwanda, a few years back, was no exception. There was insufficiency of infrastructure, but also absence of healthcare schemes to supplement government's limited efforts to put relevant healthcare, to fund relevant healthcare service for all. This situation required an effective healthcare system to be put in place, in addition to the notable effort in investing in building health centers and hospitals throughout the country. A community-based insurance scheme, which is primarily comprised of a social health insurance program called Mutuelle de Santé. This is in French. Mutuelle de Santé was set up in 2004 and is currently operational countrywide. Members pay annual premiums of approximately $6 American dollars per family member, with a 10% service fee paid on each visit to a health center or a hospital. Membership is voluntary, and payment of premiums is based on economic status. By 2010, 91% of Rwandan population was insured through Mutuelle de Santé. The Mutuelle de Santé improved access to preventive and curative health services. Insured households are more sensitive to health issues. Most importantly, access to health care contributed to a drastic reduction in infant and child mortality and the coming of malaria. It also caused the increase of antenatal care coverage, thus reducing the propensity to maternal mortality. I would be remiss not to talk about the desirable empowerment of women we rightly so take pride of as Rwanda. We proactively realize that our society cannot transform without the active participation of women, who, by the way, make 52% of our population. Women are the backbone of our households and of our country by extension. Throughout our history, they have considerably played a crucial role in the building of the spirit of the people. The distortions inherited from colonialism that damaged their social and economic blossoming had to be corrected to match the new vision Rwanda had resolved to embrace. We embedded in our constitution provisions to reinstate women in the place where they really belong, and to quickly rectify any practices contrary to that. Women make up today 64% of our parents. All other institutions, including cabinet, comprise at least 30% women. Moreover, by law, women enjoy equal rights as their brothers as far as inheritance is concerned. Madam President, distinguished audience, allow me to conclude by registering that when we celebrate the transformation that has witnessed in the past 2 decades, we remain aware that there is more to do to get the Rwandan society what it deserves to be. Our people cannot just make do with improved standards of living, but have to access development in its fullest definition. It is, of course, a challenging ambition, but it's not impossible. The right foundation has been established, and there is need to mobilize the next generation to take on that challenge, to keep the vision and current thrust alive. The youth make up more than 60% of our population, and we see this as an opportunity relative to that challenge. This will need to disclose by assignment the younger ones here present, and I just want them to take away some of the following values and principles we hold there in Rwanda as we hang on transformation ambitions. I will just say to them, so take note, and tell you what we follow. The first among those values and principles is patriotism. Patriotism. Second is resilience. Third is dignity. Fourth is constant soul searching. Next is sacrifice. Next is tolerance. Next is all-inclusive participation. Next is constant search for excellence. Next is high sense of agency. Next is sense of innovation and adaptation. Next is unconventional solutions to development. Last is positive solidarity. So, maybe let me repeat them again. Patriotism, resilience, dignity, constant soul searching, sacrifice, tolerance, or inclusive participation, can-do mindset or attitude, can-do mindset or attitude, constant search for excellence, high sense of agency, sense of innovation and adaptation, unconventional solutions to development, and positive solidarity. Now, there won't be any assignment handing required. Or I ask the youth is just them keeping reflecting on those time and again as they develop and grow in their academic profile. And on this note, I want to thank you very much for having me and for your very kind attention.